Today I wanted to talk about Five Nights at Freddy's. I know I'm not exactly been active in the Five Nights at Freddy's community. I've never done any theory posts or anything like that, but I've been very much into the series since it originally came out in 2014. Fun fact, when I first heard about it, I thought it was a game centered around Friday the 13th, as in Freddy Krueger, and then once I looked into it, I absolutely fell in love with it, but I was too scared to play it myself, so I ended up watching Markiplier play it. That's when I first discovered Markiplier. Today I wanted to actually put out my own theory. Before we get started, I'm going to first get into my thinkings as what's led me to this theory. If you want to just go ahead and skip that, we can jump right over into this time stamp right here if you want to just hear what I have to say, what the theory is and not my thinking. So with all that said, I'm just gonna go ahead and jump into it and let's have some fun. FNAF has been a cultural icon for the last 9 years. Next year will be 10 years since the series started. That is amazing, and the fact that it still has a large, live, active fan base is phenomenal. The cultural impact it has had on creative people. You have people making songs, animations, writing their own little stories. It's encouraging people to think critically about things and making sure they're looking into all the information they have, all the clues they have to look deeper into things, which they can use outside of just Five Nights at Freddy's. They can use it in school when they're reading the world around them and encourages investigation. It has inspired a new generation of game developers, which is fantastic. It's just amazing what the community has come together to do. Amazing content creators that grew from Five Nights at Freddy's. Some I've discovered during the times where I found myself in a FNAF rabbit hole. It played on people's fears because I've known a lot of people who have said that they find the animatronics at Disneyland to be a little unsettling. And of course, all those of us who grew up going to Chuck E. Cheese in the 80s and 90s, it's that nostalgia and those creepy, kind of gross looking animatronics. I'm sorry, Chuck E. Cheese, you're no Disneyland. And those animatronics kind of being very hokey, cheesy, playing songs while you're sitting there trying to eat your pizza or play on the arcade machine. The game really plays on a level that reaches so many audiences. It has the mascot fun characters that had pulled in a bit of a younger audience. It had the horror aspects and the jump scares that people love. Now, granted, after you've played it long enough, the jump scares don't get you anymore, and that's okay. But at the time, it was groundbreaking because you didn't know what to expect. And not to mention the lore. In the past, with a lot of games, the lore and the story was for the most part, given to us at face value. We could get all the information we needed just from the game alone. Now, I'm not saying that's true for all games, but there was nothing quite like Five Nights at Freddy's that I remember when the first game came out, going into the forums and seeing what people were thinking. Who is the person that lured the kids into the back with the golden suit? Who is Phone Guy? But these were the questions brewing just from the first game. The second game gave us a lot of more information. It took place in 87, and then we had the conversation about the bite of 87.
Was that the bite of 87?
As more games came out, we had more questions. We were getting some answers, but just more questions, more information we can speculate off of. And I love that people do love the craziness that is this series. There was a book series that came out, and this is where I get a little confused, and I'll probably bring it up here in a bit, is whether the books are canon or not. The books was where we first heard of William Afton. That was the first time we got a name to who this Purple Guy was, which, let's be honest, William Afton, much better name than Purple Guy. People who are watching Five Nights at Freddy's stuff back in 2014, some of them are already going to college or are already in college. That is still following them to this day, and they still love the series. People are still speculating about the theory and the lore, and of course we were teased by Scott Cawthon. We were teased about the box in the third game, and then he said he wasn't gonna open it. That drove me crazy. And you will find yourself really engrossed in this universe that Scott Cawthon has created for us. So the reason why I'm coming to this theory, so basically this whole time I've been hyping up the community and this world Scott has created for us and has kept alive for so long. Why do I think it's been kept alive this long? Why we still have more questions and possibly even less answers? We're given more information, but we're not given necessarily the answers that we need to say who's right and who's wrong in their theories. My theory is that everyone's stories are true. Everyone's theories are correct. With Five Nights at Freddy's, we're given a lot of information and a lot of key story points, but we don't know what happens in between and is what led up to them. Everyone's left to kind of theorize and guess and put together their own ideas. MatPat right now as we speak is putting out a timeline theory, an updated version from his 2018 version. Every day someone is coming up with a new theory or idea as to why William Afton did what he did. More information on Charlie and what happened to her, Henry himself, how William and Henry came together. We're still talking about Gregory's involvement because he seems like he's a bigger player in this. And I think the reason why everyone is correct to an extent now, I feel like everyone's correct if you're following main key story points and also main character story points and names. I think if you are consistent with the information Scott has given us, then your theories are correct. Why is everyone correct? Let's look at it. FNAF, again, has inspired so many creative people. And let's be honest, if Scott were to come out right now with the actual story from start to finish, and if the story were to completely end, people might not be talking about it anymore. That's it. The internet can go home at that point. But where's the fun in that? Sure, we can look on it fondly, but because everyone has their own idea of the direction the story is going in, no matter what is in that box that Scott set up for us, no matter what he tells us at the end of the day, not everyone's gonna be happy. No one's gonna be happy with it, really, because everyone wanted their theories to be right. So if it keeps going, then the community is alive and well and thriving, allowed people to explore other creative avenues. The fanverse is now blooming with these creators making these awesome games that Scott's like, yes, you're allowed in the universe. You are now canon to FNAF kind of vibes. And I think that's just phenomenal. I've never heard of a game developer doing that. Usually most of the time when they see like little indie devs making games based on that lore theory, they're so quick to shut it down. But Scott said, you are welcome into my universe. You made some amazing games and wants to encourage more people to make games. You got Fiznum making FNAF Plus a full remake. You have Baddington making these spectacular VHS FNAF videos that I am addicted to that perfectly capture the 80s animatronic Pizza Hut vibes. I feel like everyone is correct. Everyone has such great ideas and is building the story. I feel like everyone's right because as long as you're following the rules of the universe, why can't it all be right? And it allows fans to write the story themselves and write something that they're happy with. Now, granted, it can be frustrating if you never get a yes or no answer as to whether your theory's correct. But this kind of world building is what is keeping the FNAF world alive. It's the fans that keep it alive, the creatives, the amazing person, you watching this video, you keep it alive. I have found myself going through these rabbit holes of FNAF, looking at everyone's theories, their videos, catching up on the book series and everything like that. Even the activity books have additional lore, but still not giving us 100% answers. I really hope that at someday, I would like to see the main storyline right now of FNAF 2 come to a close, but have a new one open up with, again, still not giving us the full picture and allowing people to paint that picture themselves. I would love to see some of the characters return in some shape or form. I think Scott did a great job creating this nostalgia horror for people of all ages to throw themselves into. So at the end of the day, I believe everyone's theories, stories is right. And I want to end this video on saying thank you, Scott Cawthon. Thank you for creating a game and a world that people were able to grow as creatives, whether it's making YouTube videos, whether it's making art, cosplay, inspiring a new generation of game developers, and growing artists and writers and theorists, and teaching people to think creatively and critically. Thank you so much. And I will see you all in the next video.